Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies strengthening your business while offering your talent to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Welcome, everybody, to the Giver Marketing Network broadcast. We meet every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time to dig into something related to marketing, communications, or media. Deane has been hosting this and getting us going live on all the different channels. And want to shout out to the Kingdom Warriors University and the Kingdom Warriors Tribe. And just say, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to talk about... What are we talking about today, Christine?
Oh, goodness. One of my favorite topics. I know it's one of yours, too. We're going to talk about the classy LinkedIn appointments because there's a way to do it classy and there's a way to do it not. So let's focus on the classy side.
That's it. In about 30 or 40 minutes, we're going to have some panel guests coming and we're going to have discussion and conversation. You can also put comments in wherever you're watching this live or even recorded. You can put comments in. We can circle back with you, make sure and bring some of those comments and questions to the live broadcast and even later as well. So go ahead and do that now as you're just thinking through, like, LinkedIn. What does this mean to me? How have I used it? How does it lead to quality conversations that lead to appointments, that lead to revenue generating activity, that lead to all the good things you want to see happening in your business and nonprofit and all the organizations, even the leadership that you're bringing to the thought leadership you're bringing to your own personal brand? Like, how does this work? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but more specifically about how to handle your messaging in a classy way so that you don't push away the right people. You want to pull them in. You want to pull the right people into a conversation, and you want to repel the people that aren't a good fit. You want to welcome the people that are a good fit. And there's social media best practices for posting. We'll briefly discuss just newsletters, things like this. But ultimately, we're going to focus in on those all important appointments that are the lifeblood of your organization. So, Christine, I'm going to go ahead and get some visuals going here. If you can't see the screen, let me know.
Looking good.
And we're good. Okay, good. So thank you for rocking this with me today. And we're going to have some others pop on here a little bit later. But I'm Timothy Morgan, CEO, founder of Giver Marketing Network. I'm a fractional CMO as well, but really focus in on gathering the marketing, communications, and media professionals to work on projects together. We build dream teams for causes and companies doing good in the world as it relates to their marketing, communications, and media. So that's a little bit about me. We focus on branding, visibility, promotion, nurturing as a tribe. This is what we consider the non-negotiables of marketing for your organization. We have a full training or presentation on that. We're a coaching-centric organization. That's why Deane is here. That's why we have others who are kind of our certified in-house marketing coaches that lead the projects and make sure that we're going in the right direction from a strategy, but also from a project management standpoint too, just to make sure that the team is doing well, and you're getting the results you want as an organization. Our tribe is amazing. We're the highest rated reviewed network of its kind on the planet. And you can just Google us and you'll see what we're talking about there. Oh, hey, a lot of people are finding this training, this presentation, this visual conversation to be interesting, but also very productive and efficient from a time management standpoint. It can ramp up your business to business appointments in such a dramatic fashion. You're probably going to need to bring in some salespeople. That's basically what's going to happen. And so our job is to get those appointments on the calendar as marketing professionals, get you some better awareness, some more attention, some positive attention. And our core values include collaboration, results, efficiency, a positive attitude, transparency, and a high level of energy to get the work done that needs to be done for your mission. And this is our live broadcast to be able to just deposit into those who are hungry, coachable, passionate. We want to give you some good information. We want to be like that kid on the screen right there that's like, we could do this. Let's apply this. Let's get some results. And before we get into the meat and potatoes here, I just want to give a little nod. Christine, I know you're a fan of those who have gone before us. We could name so many names, but Bob is one of those. So really appreciate some of the work that these ladies and gentlemen have done to kind of be the go-givers, be the givers in the marketing space. Even though some consider the Go-Giver series a sales related book, it's really a business development book that includes a lot of good marketing pieces as well. Christine, do you have anything to add here?
Oh, goodness. It's so true. When it comes to the know, like, and trust factor, that's really what your whole business is centered on. Whether you are, whatever method of marketing you're using, every piece of that needs to be built on the idea of know, like, and trust.
Come on.
Credibility is everything.
That's the foundation. And that's the foundation of any relationship, right? You want to just build that trust. So this is no different. I mean, business is like relational and emotional intelligence 101. Like, let's just get what did one person say? Get brilliant at the basics. So let's do that today. Pre-sales communication is how we define marketing. There's so many different ways to define marketing, but anything related to what happens before a significant decision. There's micro decisions along the way, and that we would consider kind of on that marketing side. But when it comes to your main offerings, the main decision, everything that happens before that is generally considered marketing. Okay. So think of it this way. If you're an American football fan, marketing gets you to the red zone. Sales get you to the end zone. We all want the touchdown, but it's a good idea to get at least close to the touchdown on a consistent basis. Otherwise, your results are going to be sparse at best. It's going to be like a roller coaster. You won't have consistent amount of conversations, appointments, leads, power partnerships. All these things need to come in through a type of prospecting, which is technically marketing, not generally considered a direct sale, right? So prospecting is generally considered a marketing activity that can lead to a sale, but we want to encourage you and get you streamlined and efficient on generating those conversations and appointments. So we're going to do that today, give you some language to use, consider some templates, guides on how to have those conversations. Marketing is basically a conversation with your audience. Hopefully it's your preferred audience. And that comes with hard work, trying to figure out who it is you want to focus in on and where they are. So that ultimately how to handle those conversations as well. So marketing tracks the conversations, appointments, attentions, activity, engagement, those kind of things. And the metrics all support that, where sales really is about the transaction or the ultimate decision. Okay, so we want to make sure and be clear about what we're talking about today. What we're doing today will get you to the green. Okay, it'll get you close to the hole if you're playing golf. But sales is really what is the art of asking question for commitment as you're putting it in. Okay, so that's the difference, and we're going to be focusing in on marketing. Let's talk about the tail end of the marketing piece real quick, Christine. 80% of sales or decision appointments, decision meetings usually occur after a minimum of 5 trust building interactions. That's the extent of my sales training. Okay. That's it right there. This is the slide. Okay. I'm not a sales trainer. We have power partners and others who are sales trainers. Okay.
And they take the handshake from there, from the marketing, and move it forward in there to the sales spot, right? But the touch points, right? That's where the marketing comes into play. When you talk about a minimum of 5 building interactions, right? That's all the marketing, where they're seeing the name, they're having the interactions, they're whatever it is your touch points are for your plan, right? That's what gets them to the point where they're ready to have a conversation with you. Because we all know if you have that conversation, that sales conversation too soon, right, they're not interested. You're pushing them away because they're not there yet.
Yep. Have you ever been at a restaurant and somebody you just met, or even the waitress or the waiter, will come over and start talking to you about something totally unrelated, and they're almost like pitching you on something? You're like, what is happening right here? Like, we haven't had any meaningful interactions, but maybe once. Like, let's build a relationship first before you start doing that. Like, call me later. You know what I mean? Like, there's a time and a place and a trust building process. So we want to encourage you. There's at least, well, these 7 that are on the screen here, Christine. I mean, we do most of these just innately. Like, we already know like, if you want to build trust with anybody, you're going to do things like this, right? That are on the screen. The question is whether they're in a system of some kind.
Right. The systems is where it gets a little bit easier on you, right? If you've got some systems in place, the whole idea to scale your business and put systems in place is to do something that you do over and over again without having to recreate the wheel every time, because that takes a lot of energy, right? So put some systems in place like this so that you have okay, this is what I do next. You don't have to think about it, right?
I mean, just trying to remember where somebody is in your trust building journey. Just trying to remember, like, did I send them anything? Did I send them that thing? Did I ask him this question? Did I end up calling them? Was it 2 weeks ago, or was it a couple of months ago? I'm trying to remember. Like, all those things need to be considered and tracked to some extent.
And that's where your CRM comes in handy, right? If you're not using your CRM to that level, you're not taking advantage of the opportunity of having it all spread right in front of you so you can keep track. And that's where the funnels come in, right? So where's this person in the funnel process, right? So you take them on that journey. If you can keep track of that, then you know where they are, and you know when you can start having those sales conversations.
Come on. Yeah. So if you have something valuable, it's worth building a system around it. And the CRM comes into play at the very least, even if you're just starting, get that CRM going, but at the very least, make notes within your conversations inside of LinkedIn so that you have a timestamp for what you're doing, like where you are in the conversation. And that can act as like a proxy for maybe a few weeks or a few months as you get your CRM up and running. But gosh, let's just start with meaningful conversations and put some notes inside of the either email threads or LinkedIn threads so you know where you are in the process at the very least, right? So move at the speed of trust. Don't try to sell too quickly. You got to ask for the sale or the commitment or the decision, but don't do it before there's trust built. It feels weird, awkward. It's not appropriate. It's like, do you even know what you're doing in your business? Like, it doesn't feel right. You have any thoughts on that, Christine?
I was just thinking about how much, like you said, the trust factor. And if you come off slimy to start with, like, we're talking about being classy here, right? If you start off slimy, what happens is you've destroyed that trust. You can't even make it to that phase where you can actually have a real conversation. Right. And a lot of people are confused on how do we even get started, right? How do I reach out? I know my clients are on LinkedIn, my future clients, I can see them. I know they're there. How do I have a conversation with them? How do I get them to want to talk to me? Right. So these are all questions that we run into. Like, we know the gold mine is there, but how do you go about it without being that horrible, sleazy car salesperson? Nothing against car sales. We all need cars, but you know what I'm talking about.
There's a way to treat people well, whatever industry you're in. And we all have, there's the slimy folks in every industry, and we want to avoid them. So let's be the other end of that spectrum, right? Let's leverage LinkedIn for kind of the suit and tie place that it is, or the, you know, um, business casual place that it is, right? Let's make sure and know the room that we're in. There's nothing wrong with Facebook. I actually leaned into Facebook early, and I continue to do that to some extent, but LinkedIn has produced 10 times the result that Facebook has when it comes to business conversations. So we want to share a few of these statistics, something to think about. If you got 1 billion users that have triple the discretionary income of a typical Facebook user, and 41% of millionaires have been or are on the platform in some way, gosh, you want to pay attention to this. It's the number one business to business channel, basically, when it comes to social, like classy social media. This is where you want to be for that B2B dynamic. Okay. All right. So we got our digital marketing mix. We got our social media, channels and platforms and other places and spaces that we play. But LinkedIn needs to be, top part of that list, top two at least of that list. Okay. So if you're going to go all in somewhere, consider LinkedIn. And if you are already going all in, then this should help you be extremely efficient. We like to leverage our personal profile, our personal brand, our personal pages, and then let the business pages be almost like a brochure on LinkedIn. It's a little bit more static as far as how you leverage the business page on LinkedIn. You can, there's newsletters, there's other things that you can do to kind of pull people into your business pages and into your content and posting consistently. These kind of things are great. But ultimately, you want to have a really strong personal brand and presence on LinkedIn so that when you reach out to those great prospects or power partners, they're like, yes, this person looks legit. They know what they're doing. Their imagery, their language is all dialed in. And that's where that branding, even on LinkedIn, becomes extremely important. And we'll touch base on your personal profile suggestions here in a second. Hundreds of connections, more booked appointments. Hey, let's limit our cold calling, ladies and gentlemen. Put that in the chat box. Put that in the comments. Put that wherever you're making notes. Let's limit the cold calling. Let's generate honest and organic and relational conversations that lead to appointments with the right audience. Cold calling is overrated in our modern era. It's rarely the first approach you want to take. You generally want to leave that for very specific scenarios and situations. Okay. So let's talk about connecting with clients and customers and potential team members and power partners and even those preferred vendors that you've been trying to find a great connection and it's just not happening for some reason. Gosh, LinkedIn has one of the best searching criteria of any social platform I've ever seen. You can leverage groups in Facebook. You can leverage certain search criteria and like alignable and some other things. But LinkedIn's like the original gangster of searching for your perfect client, team members, power partners, preferred vendors. Gosh, we brought on over 100 team members leveraging LinkedIn, right, Christine? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, we're about 100 members now. And I'm looking at this list and I'm thinking, yep, I've done all of these using LinkedIn, finding clients, customers, finding team members for Giver Marketing, right? Finding some power partners to work with and even those preferred vendors. So yeah, I've used it for all of these purposes and it's worked great.
And there's a reason clients and customers are at the top of this list, but there's just so much more there too, right? So I appreciate you mentioning how that's affected your business. And
oh yeah,
we're a collective of micro businesses. We're a group of marketing mavericks running around working on projects together. So just to hear that, this is working for you, like this makes sense. If we want to book 10 to 20 warm phone or short Zoom appointments monthly, this is the way to do it. You could almost, if you have at least 500, maybe over 1,000 connections on LinkedIn, you have 25 to maybe as much as 100 appointments just sitting there waiting for you. based on
Absolutely.
this, the actual data, like based on the actual results we're seeing. Okay. So, we could ramp up your appointments over the next 4 to 6 weeks in a pretty significant manner. If you're wanting to ramp, if you have bandwidth to ramp up and serve more clients and customers, like, what are you waiting for? Like, let's do this, right? Let's do it together right now. All right. So if you want your calendar to fill up with, like, everything here in green is a real screenshot from one of my account a while back, and everything in green came from LinkedIn. Okay. I have a color coordinated calendar, so don't get confused about the other colors. But the green means cash. I mean, green means go, right? So that's where I put these appointments. And you can do the same. You can have as many as 20 appointments a week if you want. I mean, some people would rather have 10 to 20 a month. It just depends on the high, how much follow up, the life cycle and the business cycle of a sale, the actual conversation styles that you prefer to have, how many appointments you prefer to have. Not all client is somebody you want to, not all prospects are somebody you want to bring on as a client. So depending on your process, you can ramp this up or ramp this a little bit slower as it fits your style. Okay. And the reason we know it works is and it's super simple, is because we discovered this by accident. One of our interns came in and said, "Hey, I need something to do today." And we sent him the messaging that we're about to show you, and eureka, 200 appointments later, I was like, okay, we're going to continue doing some of the other things we've been doing, but we're going to go like 90% all in on LinkedIn. And we've never looked back. So this has been several years now. One thing we knew from the very beginning is it's not worth sending annoying pitch messages. So somebody put it in the comments, in the chat, in the conversations and the notes you have, no annoying pitch messages. No annoying. Let's say it out loud together, Christine. No
annoying pitch messages. Absolutely. Because now you've irritated 90% of the people when only, maybe 5% of them were really prospects to start with anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to filter this in a different way. You don't want to filter this through a spray and pray approach. I mean, look, if you're in the first week or two of your business, build relationships. If you accidentally start pitching a few folks, I get it. But once you've become an actual business leader and a business owner, you don't pitch on the first conversation. It's a rookie move to do that. So let's not do that. Okay. Let's take this to another level. All right. All right. 70 appointments in a month. That's totally possible. So if you got a real hunger and a bandwidth to be able to bring on more clients, if you're a sales professional and you're like, hey, I need to book as many appointments as humanly possible over the next 30 to 60 days, this is how to do it. Okay. No ad spend, no spam tactics. We're not against automation. In fact, we have many members who leverage automation significantly, but you got to get the basics down first, and then you fire up the automation. Okay. So we want to keep it very personable, relational, and emotionally intelligent. All right. LinkedIn account and an online scheduler. Christine, Deane, do you have a LinkedIn account and an online scheduler?
I do. How did you know?
All right. Yeah, I'm just teeing this up for you because look, and everybody listening, and I'm just trying to bring myself back. Christine, I'm sure you can think back to when you first got your LinkedIn really ramped up and going. Your scheduler's starting to work. When people book an appointment, it's clear when you're going to meet. The time zones are dialed in, and with tools like Calendly and others, it does it all for you. That text message reminders, email reminders, confirmation, all those little
automations make all the difference in the world to make it smoother, right? Once you start having text message reminders letting people know the appointment's coming up, the amount of people that no show you really decrease, right? So it's worth having those systems in place just because you're not wasting your time waiting for somebody that isn't going to show up, right? Because they're like, oh no, I forgot, right? If they're getting text message reminders and email reminders and it's showing up on their calendar, chances of them forgetting your appointment are, dropped significantly.
Yeah. I think we're over 95% show rate right now based on this strategy, this approach. And those schedulers also let people know you're serious about that appointment. And it's not just, hey, mention it once and hope they show up. Like it's an actual, and if you think about it, once somebody books an appointment, there's like 3 touch points just sitting right there, right? You've set up the original appointment through a message. There's an email that goes out, and there's a text reminder. So you've touched them in 3 different, you've connected with them in 3 different ways to remind them. And so just that alone gives you 3 meaningful interactions. Okay, good. So your personal profile, we promised we'd leave this up on the screen for a second so you can do a screenshot, or you can ask for details about this or rewind this if you need to. But bottom line is you need to warm up a LinkedIn profile because there's a lot of blue going on. So you need to warm it up with humans, with maybe some different colors that would help make sure that it brings a kind of a warmth to your personal profile. Put some media on there. Make sure your headline solves an actual problem or gives some specific benefit that you deliver. Be very clear on this. You're not necessarily pitching. You're just like, hey, my superpower is this, or I solve this problem. If you have this going on, let's discuss how to solve that problem.
There's nothing worse than going to somebody's LinkedIn page and you're like, oh, well, they reach out to me. Let's find out a little bit more about them. And then you're like, I still don't know what they do. And I've now looked at their page. Well, that was a waste of time. Oh, I hate that, right? Put something on there that's significant that makes somebody realize within, 2 seconds, oh, that's what they do, right?
Yep. So describe maybe even your perfect client, how you solve their problem, maybe more specifics about how you solve the problem, and hint at your perfect client, whatever, some combination of that. Like, let people know you're the person to solve their problem. You deliver this for these kind of people. Make it really clear and you should be good to go. In the about section, tell a story. Make sure you can put some bullet points at the bottom of your story, but make sure that it's more narrative based. Otherwise, people will just kind of gloss over it and their eyes will gloss over, like you're reading through in a newspaper or something. You're just like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of text here. Like, get them engaged in your media and your story. Okay. You're going to be sharing your story with them anyway, so you might as well give them a little an ability to read through it real quickly. Okay. Bottom line is we want to get them we want to get meaningful conversations happening in an appointment. Okay. So I prefer a 10 to 15 minute phone call. Some people prefer a 15 to 20 minute Zoom as an initial like discovery or story swapping or get to know you or a virtual coffee kind of a thing. I don't care what you call it, as long as it seems relational and it's authentic and you're curious about the other person. Okay, that's the main thing. But you can see an example here. This is literally a screenshot from what's been working for years and years and years. We haven't seen the numbers go down, even with all the changes and different things going on, because we're taking a certain kind of approach. Okay, make sure and put a buffer between your appointments so you're not in too much of a hurry when you end up with like 12 appointments in one day, like happened to me by accident in the early days. Okay, so we want to make sure and spread those 12 appointments out a little bit. We want to have like 5 or 6 here, and then maybe 3 or 4 over here, and maybe 2 or 3 over here. Like, let's spread them out. Okay, so let's get yourself a little buffer between each appointment. And most schedulers have a way to say they can't book back to back. There's some call it a buffer, some call it something else, but let's make sure that you have some breathing room between your appointments. Good problem to have, right? If you have too many appointments, now you got other Now
Well,
you got
and
other
don't
things.
don't skip that bottom one about make sure you only set certain times available. That's really important because I've had new for people that are like, oh, well, I'll just make everything available. And then they end up with something at like 7 a.m. and something at 7 p.m. And then, next thing you know, they're working weekends and they didn't mean to. I mean, so, pay attention to your calendar on what your availability is and make sure that you don't make yourself available during time that you're not, and kind of cluster it, right? We're talking about, blocks of time, right? So do a block of time where you're going to do those phone calls or those messages, just because you don't want it all over the place, right?
Make it fun. Make it easy on yourself. I mean, goodness, like I love what you just said, Christine, because there are certain times of the day I actually want to talk to people on the phone or Zoom. Like this is my preferred time. And you can just set that up ahead of time. Make it easy. I love it. All right. Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. We don't have time to go into all that, but this is the approach we're taking in the modern era, even though this book was written like 25, 30 years ago or something. I'm trying to remember. But it's an original gangster classic from Seth Godin. Any of his stuff you can just digest and it'll probably make sense when it comes to this approach. Okay. So candid dating, not proposing, is what we're talking about here. Proposing is like a pitch, like, will you marry me? That kind of a thing, right? We're
Absolutely.
just
You know what? We're going to pull something on this. Dialogue Video Marketing said dating, engaged, marriage, right? Putting in the right time to get to know the other person. Are you going to get dumped? I love this. This is exactly what we're talking about right here. So I had to pull this up. Love that.
Yeah, it's fun to just bring it back to, what we all kind of relate to and understand. So listen, no long form messaging. We already talked about no pitching. Sometimes you get into a long explanation of what you do and people are really asking a little bit more about like, can I trust you? They're not necessarily asking for every detail of what they're going to experience. They need a little bit of that, but ultimately that can be on some of your landing pages and other places. We don't need to send direct messages with long form in like in mails or inbox messages. Okay.
And Timothy, I'm going to say that's probably the number one change that I make when I work with clients is I'm like, all right, let's see what you had in mind, is making it, truncating it, right, into something much more direct. Because I'm like, oh, honey, nobody's going to read all that. You've just scared them away. And they're like, next, right? So that's really important. You want to just keep it real simple.
Just because you wrote it doesn't mean everybody wants to read it.
Bingo.
Write that down, ladies and gentlemen. Look, Christine, Deane, and others, myself, like we know what we're writing. We've been in the combined. Christine, Deane, and I have been in business or teaching or something for like 50 years. Okay, so we know what we're doing, but the question is does our audience actually want to read this? That's a really big question for marketing. Okay, so ask yourself, would I want to receive this message? Do they want more of these kind of messages? Just ask that question. And I heard a multi-billionaire say the same thing about just ask yourself, do they want more of this kind of interaction? And you'll have some gold there. Okay, let's get into the details here, Christine, together. When you go to LinkedIn, if you go to the searching section at the top of your screen, and that's both in the mobile and the desktop version, you can click enter or search or click around in the top area where it says search, and you'll end up in a filter section. Click all filters, even if you want to do it that way. Click in a filter section, and you will find yourself some very special ways to find the right people. So what we want to do in the very beginning, listen very closely, first degrees connections first. Put it in the comments, first degree connections first. How many times have we seen, Christine, where somebody's like, I want new conversations? And the question is, have you followed up with your previous conversations? And the answer is follow up. I'm sure somebody did. And it's like, no, I don't think so. Based on that response, I don't know that that's happening. Let's make sure it's happening. And I'm not saying follow up with everybody. I'm just saying follow up with the people you want to work with, right? Christine, do you have any thoughts on just that alone?
Absolutely. But when it's easier to talk to somebody you already know than, or it should be, than to somebody that you don't know. They're more willing to listen to what you have to say than somebody who has no idea who you are, right? So you already have these warm connections. You're connected with them. You build those relationships. Why not?
Doesn't matter if you have 100 connections or if you have 1,100 connections or if you have more. Go through your first degree and send them this message. Get ready. Okay. Figure out who you want to actually reach out to. It might only be 50 out of the 100, or it might only be 500 out of the 10,000 connections you have, but find who you actually want to do business with or connect with or have a conversation with about power partnership and send them a note. By the way, you can have up to 30,000 connections. So don't worry about how many connections you have. Just be faithful with the little amount of connections you have. Trust me, there's somebody else out there with more connections and followers. Okay. So just do what you can with what you got. All right. It's been a while since we connected. Are you open to a quick call in the next couple of weeks? Do you see it right there on the screen? This one phrase has made me more money and generated more impact, more relationships, more connections than any other phrase I've ever used. Okay. And it works so well on LinkedIn because it's genuine. You actually want to connect and circle back and kind of make sure that we didn't lose track of each other. Maybe you met them at a networking meeting or an event or something like that. Okay. So we want to, it doesn't matter how you met them, just send them this message. And they'll say, sure, maybe, sounds good. Not, oh, tell me more, those kind of things. But your inbox will light up. That's the key. You start a conversation. This is a break. This is like thawing out the ice again. Okay. This is like getting the conversation back going again. And then if they ask why, then you basically go into the mutual benefit and valuable introductions approach. Do not send them a long, detailed list, a bunch of links, and a PDF of what you do. Just tell them the truth. We want mutual benefit, right? We're classy, like we're professionals, like we know what we're doing, right? So let's swap stories and find possibilities. Mutual benefit language. Together, we think of it like this. You're right here, right? Christine, you and I, when we're in conversations, we're equals. Like we're here. Treat everybody like that.
Absolutely. My favorite is that, say, hey, I would love to chat and see how we can collaborate.
Oh, I love Christine. So good. So collaboration language, together language, mutual benefit language, we language, not I do this, I do this, I do this. Want to buy it? No, none of that. None. You save that for the end of the virtual coffee or something. Like save that for later. Okay. And honestly, that usually comes in a second meeting anyway. So ultimately you want to kind of ease into this conversation so that you can set up an appointment without scaring the bejeebies out of somebody. Just because you're hungry to solve problems doesn't mean they're ready just yet. They want to know a little bit about you. So set up an appointment, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. Here's a hint. In your scheduler, put your personal name. Whether you're a salesperson, a business owner, a nonprofit leader, trying to enhance your personal brand, doesn't matter. Put your personal name in the scheduler. If you start putting your company name and they see that 3 or 4 times, but they don't really see your name in any of the links or anything, now they're starting to feel like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. They're wanting me to go, they're pitching me before they're pitching me. Like I'm seeing this isn't relationally and emotionally intelligent. This is like, I'm going to spray you with my company and corporate brand. And it's like, whoa, like, let's just keep it relational in the beginning, like, especially in the beginning, like just build the relationship. So put your name, easy spelling, not a bunch of hyphens, not a bunch of dots and fancy symbols. Just put your name. Just put, like, for me, it's Calendly.com/Timothy Morgan/10. And it's at the time of this recording, that link is available. So if you want to book an appointment, do it right now. That's fine. I have another scheduler I use most of the time, but Calendly was a great place to start. So I keep it active. It's a good platform. So that's a good hint for you there. Reminder, only send appointments link once they agree to chat on the phone or a short Zoom or a virtual coffee, they have to say something like, sure, yes, sounds good. Awesome. I look forward to it.
Yeah, don't give them that link before they're ready, right? Now you're head of the game. You don't want to do that, right? So you got to follow the path of least resistance here. And sometimes I'll be playful and say, like, your booking link or mine once they say yes, right?
Come on.
This way, if
yes.
they'd rather have me book on theirs, or if I know mine's kind of full and I'm like, let me just go to theirs.
Totally. And that's emotional intelligence. Christine, you're the networking diva. You're the worldwide networking diva for a reason, because you wake up and you've practiced this so much in your business world and your teaching and just everything you've done and marketing and business development. Like, you know how to do this with class. So I love that we're
be classy and have fun with it, right? Make people want to talk to you. Don't be too stiff and boring. Be a little fun.
Come on, this is good. Okay, so here's the second part of the strategy. Think of this as part 2 for your second degree connections. Okay, in LinkedIn, first degree is people that have already said yes to connecting with you. Second degree are friends of friends. They're connections of connections. We rarely train on third degree connections. There are times for this where we're partnered with a company called Data Explorer that reaches out and finds third degree connections. That's a different conversation. What we're talking about is a warm network right here. Okay, so first degree, you've gone through, connected with all those folks that you want to. Now it's time to start reaching out to friends of friends, connections of connections. So that's called second degree. So when you do that, what you do, we recommend a name dropping strategy. It's basically a light referral or a fairly qualified introduction, if you want to think of it that way. Okay, so you go and you connect with people that are on that are in somebody else's Rolodex. Okay, there's somebody else's connections. We don't need to use InMail. We can come back to that another time, but we don't need to use InMail. Okay, we're not at this point. Ultimately, what we need to do is ask for permission from an influencer or somebody who has a bunch of connections on LinkedIn and say, do you mind if I connect with your people on LinkedIn? If they say yes, then connect with their people and add a note. The people you want to connect with, you can do all the filtering, you can do all that. Add a note and say something like, hey, Christine Deane connected us. Would you have a few minutes to chat on the phone in the next couple of weeks? Question mark. Christine,
well, now,
if I said that,
here's the other thing. Now, you said Christine Deane connected us. Now, if I actually connected you, then that worked. But if I didn't actually connect you, but I gave you permission, and I'll do that for people that I absolutely trust, to be like, go ahead, reach out to any of my people, tell them I sent you, right? Then it becomes Christine Deane recommended that I reach out to you. That's
correct.
That's a nice one too, right? Because you're like, oh, okay, they actually recommended that I reach out. That sounds pretty important, right?
Yep. I love, and there's different iterations of this. Recommended we connect is super classy and it works and it makes sense. Whatever language highlights you, Christine, like for example, if I were to reach out to 10 of your connections, it would probably be a lot more than that if I was going to be doing this, but let's just use 10 for just an easy number. If I were to reach out to 10 of your people on LinkedIn after you gave me permission, and I'm like, I don't know these people. Maybe I should connect with those folks. I love Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio area. Maybe I should connect with some of Christine's people in that region. Okay. So I reach out to 10 of the influencers that you're connected with. And I say, hey, Christine Deane recommended we connect or connected us. Would you have a few minutes to chat on the phone in the next couple of weeks? How many of those people are going to just absolutely hate that message?
I don't think they're going to hate it. You might have some people that don't check their messages as often, and it'll be 6 months down the road, and you'll be like, oh, now they've responded, right? But most of them are going to be like, oh, I like Christine, sure, right?
So whether they see it tomorrow, or they see it next month, or they see it a few months from now, does it matter?
Exactly.
It's a relational and socially encouraged connection. It's just like dropping an introduction or a light referral. Hey, you should go talk to so-and-so. Like when you're in a networking meeting, hey, you should talk to so-and-so. Tell them I sent you over. That's huge. That's a huge deal. Like leverage that because it's possible on LinkedIn and ask for permission first. I've said it 4 times now, but you got to ask for permission before you do this stuff. Okay. This is not okay to just randomly do. Okay. You got to do this with permission. But once you do that, you are good to go. I mean, you have as many people you can reach out to as people will give you permission. I mean, there's a billion people on the platform. Like if you ask 3 or 4 people for permission to reach out to their people every quarter, you're going to have as many appointments as you want. You won't be able to handle all the appointments coming in. You have to,
right, but you really do want permission, because I had somebody do that, had not talked to me first, and somebody was like, so-and-so reach out, and then they pitched me, and I'm like, oh, let me have a conversation with them.
Yeah, if there's somebody you absolutely, like 1 or 2 people you absolutely want to connect with, I would use this language here if you didn't get permission for some reason, like you just couldn't get a hold of them or something. But I prefer the permission approach. There's a reason we mentioned permission marketing on the front end of this. The permission approach is the best. Okay. All right. People who send requests to you. Hey, I accepted your connection request. Are you open to a quick call in the next couple of weeks? You can reverse the people that are reaching out to you if they seem interesting to you. Okay. That's an easy way to do that. A lot of people ask about the cost of LinkedIn. It's always going up and down and different deals and all Sales Navigator and all this. We don't have time to go into all that today because we want to bring our panel guests in and do all that. And we can even do that now. But ultimately, if you have more questions about this, go to chatwithtimothy.com, reach out to Christine Deane on LinkedIn or other places. She's all over all social medias because she's just great at that. And so reach out to us, reach out to Christine Deane, reach out to myself. Here's your action assignment. Send 100 messages this week. Try spending 30 minutes on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Here's what I'll guarantee. 20 to 30 responses eventually. I'm not saying right away, but you'll have like 10 to 20 right away. But eventually you have 20 to 30 responses. That's 20 to 30%. Okay. Then once you handle those conversations with class, like we just taught you, you will end up with 5 to 10 appointments. Okay. That's my promise. If you do 100 messages to the people that you're already connected with, and you say, I want to circle back, and are you open to a quick call, and you handle that with class and you don't pitch them, you will end up with 5 to 10 appointments. Okay. I've seen it literally like a couple hundred times where we'll train clients, customers, power partners, even members of our team, how to do this. Like clockwork, 5 to 10% of your messages will turn into appointments. Unless you have some weird list. But generally speaking, that's the general rule of thumb, is that's what you'll see. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop sharing because I've gone way over, and because there's so much.
I'm going to bring Justin into the house here.
Come on, Justin. Let's go.
Hey, guys.
Justin. Hey, Justin, little nod to your work. I've been working on my background a little bit.
Looks good.
You and I are like, we're friends, and we're trying to figure this out. And he's trying to get the quality of my camera. I just ordered the cords he recommended so that the video can be streamed a little higher quality. And
yeah,
my last piece is coming tomorrow, and so I'm excited to work with you even more, Justin. You've helped so much. So hey, with that in mind, let's talk about LinkedIn. Let's have an open dialogue here. And Christine, if there's any comments in the chat box, now would be the time, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and fire it off. Fire off a note or a question or a comment, and we'll try to look at that and see if we can address it. So that this will be good. Any questions you have, thoughts? What's your one takeaway? Maybe like, what are you thinking, Justin, in this conversation?
Yeah, it's I do have questions. I do this myself. I do a lot of this myself. It was a good refresher on some of those stats early on. Were a good refresher about, even my own sales process when I talk to clients. We don't do this for clients, but I do this for myself. And
sure.
I've realized, like, to make LinkedIn work for you, like the LinkedIn algorithm sucks now in terms of reach. Everyone's reach is down 1/3, 1/5.
Are you talking about when you're posting? Is that
when you're posting? So those people that say just post and then you can get clients, it doesn't work. You can't. You have to pair it. It's got to be a twofer. If you got organic content on one fist, in the boxing match, you got on the other fist is this outbound strategy that you talked about. And it's something I've embraced, and it's something that's gotten me results. And it's not like you just, so it's like saying, you're going boxing with one. If you hear anybody say, go just do content. Well, it's just like boxing with one glove on. It's not worth it. And the vice versa is also true, where you can make your life easier. You can get clients just by DMing people and never posting content, but it's like boxing with one glove. You're going to be in a disadvantage, because there was a point you're talking about where you're talking about, I think it was about the secondary connections and asking for that follow-up. I never get anybody asking why they want to meet, because I get people telling me in calls all the time, because I do this kind of stuff. Hey, I love your even not in calls all the time. They say they love my content. Like, oh, I see you on there. And these are people I don't remember much of, and I barely know. And some of them aren't a good fit, so I don't follow up with them. I had an instance a few weeks ago where I dropped off my son at a party at his friend's house a couple weekends ago. And the guy shows up, he opens the door, he's like, hey, welcome. I'm like, hey, I'm Justin. He's like, oh, I know you. We're connected on LinkedIn. I see your stuff all the time. Like, apparently we're connected. I didn't even know. His name was Kevin. It's like, and he's a regional manager of this recruiting firm. And it's like, oh, that's really cool. So, and I get that feedback all the time. It's this parasocial relationship. So you want a parasocial relationship, because then that builds trust for you.
Write that down, ladies and gentlemen. Parasocial relationship. That's a little nugget from Justin today. And what you're describing, Justin, is really the balanced approach. You want to have enough content out there that people know a little bit of your flavor, of your style, of your ethic, of your approach, of your values, of your thoughts, your ideas, your communication preferences, your preferred clients. They need to be able to quickly scan through your content and go, oh yeah, I think that's the guy I saw. Yeah. And then when you get a little DM in your inbox, you're like, why not? Like, I've been thinking about working with them anyway. This is great. It's like serendipity. And it's like, well, it's more than that, but sure. Like some people say the universe is bringing us together. It's like, well, the social media universe is bringing us together, and that's good enough for me. And I'm a person of faith, so I'll put a little bit into some of that conversation. Yeah, of course. So, okay, great. So we're being brought together for some reason. It's probably because there's a values alignment starting to happen, and so we just need to bring some foundation to that. And I've tried DMing with very little content going out. It's still effective, but not as effective, like you're saying. I've tried a content strategy in the early days. It's effective, but not as effective if you do both. You got to really, I mean, if you're hungry for conversation. If you're not, then just post every once in a while. Ask Justin how to do the videos really well, and you'll get long-term results. Yeah, it'll be good. It's just not quite the same. If you're hungry for appointments, you're hungry for appointments. So you want it, go get it.
Yeah, it's like when you create content, it's like farming. It takes a while. You may not get results right away, but then when you go, you do DMs, it's like hunting or fishing. Let's put it that way. You're going after those. And so having a good mix of both, you got to have that protein and that, something you can actually get reliable. And then also, hey, vegetables as they come down the road, it's one of the analogies I've used.
I love your analogies, Justin. We got to hang out more. Maybe I'll get healthier too.
Hey, we're hanging out tomorrow. We're going to get you some video content.
That's it. I'm excited. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, comments, what do we got in the, do we have anything in the comments right now, Christine?
I pulled some up earlier, but I think they're still writing them. So I popped in the definition of Justin's word of the day for the parasocial. So if anybody's wondering about that, because I'm a firm believer in that also, right? And video specifically, it really gives people a chance to get to know your personality, your style, right? And I've had people reach out, I want to work with her just based on what we've done in content, right? So it's a great way to supplement, right? So when you're sending those message outs, because you talked about first level versus second level, right? Those first level connections, they're connected with you. They're catching your stuff every once in a while if they spend any time on LinkedIn at all, right? They're seeing something that you're doing. So they've seen that name flash up here and there, right? So they've got a reason to recognize it. So when you send that message out, chances are they've seen something. If you're doing the second level, they may not have seen anything that you've done. They don't have any, your name isn't warmed up yet, right? Doesn't mean they won't have the conversation with you, but it's going to be a lot more, a quicker yes, I would think, if it's first level, right? So start there.
One thing we
Absolutely.
didn't mention is a third prong approach for those who want to get some bonus points and some extra credit. Play with LinkedIn newsletters. See what happens. I'm seeing some people getting some crazy results on LinkedIn newsletters right now, and we're ramping ours up right now too. And so I'd love to hear some feedback on those that are kind of dropping in a little bit of LinkedIn newsletter as well as a part of your content strategy, but it's a little bit more personalized. It's a little bit more opt-in-ish, right? So at that point you have, it's very hard to miss you at that point. Let's put it that way. And it's classy. It's like opt in or, check out the post, it's classy. It just makes sense.
Well, and one thing we didn't really mention was the referral side of it, right? So if I was going to actually connect you and be like, hey, Justin, meet Timothy, I think you two would have a great conversation about XXX, right? And put you together. So we do have a show that we did recently about using that kind of system. So go back and find the one where we talk about that, because that's another way to go, is to actually get that warm handshake introduction.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a great way to
call
get
that referral ping pong or classy referrals, depending on kind of your agreement with other people. Like, I think that is how Justin and I met. Somebody else said, hey, you guys should meet. Let's put you both in a 3-way conversation on LinkedIn. Something like that. And then we ended up taking that conversation one-on-one and just quickly booked an appointment. And now he's on the broadcast. You know what I mean? It's just,
boom, boom, boom.
And we're working together. He's a client of ours. I'm a client of his. We're introducing people to each other. You don't need some crazy 15 people making cold calls in the basement of your business. You don't need that like we used to do that back in the 80s and 90s. Last century. Yeah, exactly. So there is a time and a place for phone calls. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that should not be your main strategy in our modern era. Just cold calls, just semi-qualified list. That's not. There's rare situations where that's actually the best first choice from a strategic standpoint. And Christine would agree, and others. But ultimately, when people start making introductions, like you're saying, Christine, and Justin and I have experienced this, the good stuff just doesn't end. Like, you just start introducing those people to other people, and any business who's healthy has a referral component to it. People sometimes will say, I don't need marketing because I do referrals or I generate a lot of referrals. I'm like, that is marketing. They're just doing it for you.
Exactly.
That should be top 2 or 3 parts of your business strategy is referrals. Like, you should find a way to predict and generate systematic referrals. So that's why we talk about these LinkedIn strategies, because they lead into other things. You can do it on Facebook and other places too, but LinkedIn is so high quality. Like, it's just, It works so good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are top of the hour. We've squeezed every ounce of awesomeness out of this hour that we could. If you want to learn more or connect in more ways, reach out to Christine Deane when it comes to just coaching for your business around marketing, networking, referrals, broadcasts, these kind of things. And then Justin as well. If you want to learn how to take your broadcast to another level from a visual standpoint, your video, your equipment, a quick upgrade, and you look like a boss. Like, Justin is definitely the guy you want to talk to. He takes you through a very specific process on that too. So God bless you guys. We'll see you soon. Oh, wait,
and
Christine.
we will see you tomorrow. On Wednesdays, we have networking for marketers. So if you are a marketer, don't be a lonelypreneur. Come hang out with us. So you want to go to givermarketing.com/networking. Register once, save the link, and come party with us, because we are there every Wednesday. It's totally no cost, and we just want to unite the marketing community. So come be part of our tribe.
I'm going to put that in the chat box right now. I'm in the comments. I'm super excited about that. All right, there it is. I'm gonna let it go live, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I hope I spelled it right.
I think you're good. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow then.
Right. Blessings, guys. We'll see you soon.